Have you ever felt like you were just going through the motions, reacting to life's circumstances without any real sense or direction or purpose? That nagging feeling that you're not quite in control, that your actions are dictated by more of a habit and external pressures than any coherent inner drive? If so, you're not alone. The question of human will, what it is, how it works, and how we can develop it has fascinated philosophers and psychologists, spiritual teachers for millennia. Today, we're going to explore this profound and complex topic, examining what will really means, and how we might cultivate a stronger, more authentic sense of volition in our lives. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Roach, Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, my YouTube channel, about a perspective formed from a journey around the world, through life, crossing a wide spectrum of human experience from high to low, as most people in American society define them. This channel is all about inspiring common people to find their power. When we talk about will, most of us instinctively think of it as kind of a mental muscle, the ability to grit our teeth and force ourselves to do difficult things. We imagine someone with a strong will as having an iron resolve, able to resist temptation and stick to their goals no matter what. And certainly there is an element of truth to this. Developing the capacity for self-discipline and delayed gratification is an important part of maturity and achievement. But is this really the whole story? Is will simply a matter of exerting control over ourselves and our impulses? Or is there a deeper and more nuanced understanding that we can develop? Many spiritual and philosophical traditions suggest that true will is not about force or control at all. Instead, they describe it as a kind of alignment, a harmony between our deepest values and aspirations and our moment-to-moment choices and actions. From this perspective, developing our will is less about strengthening our ability to override our desires and more about clarifying what we truly want and allowing that to guide us naturally. This ties to the idea that we are not single, unified entities, but rather an assembly of different drives, impulses, and aspects of personality. Our everyday notion of will, the constant internal struggle between what we think we should do and what we feel compelled to do, may simply be the push and pull between these different parts of ourselves. True will, then, might be understood as the emergence of a kind of inner conductor, an aspect of ourselves capable of orchestrating these disparate elements into cohesive whole. This isn't about suppression or control, but integration and alignment. So how do we begin to cultivate this deeper sense of will? One key aspect is developing a greater sense of self-awareness. We need to become intimately familiar with the various voices within us, our fears, our desires, our conditioned responses. Only by truly knowing ourselves, can we begin to discern which impulses arise from our authentic core and which are merely habitual reactions. This process of self-discovery is not always comfortable. It often involves confronting aspects of ourselves that we'd rather ignore or deny. But it's through this honest self-examination that we can start to peel away the layers of social conditioning and unconscious programming to reveal our true nature and desires. Another crucial development in developing will is clarifying our values and what truly matters to us. Many of us drift through life without ever really examining what we want, or why we want it. We absorb goals and ideals from culture, from our families, from our peers, from our fraternities and sororities and groups and our work. And we do this without questioning whether they actually resonate with our deepest selves. Taking the time to reflect on what genuinely brings us a sense of meaning, what brings us a sense of purpose and fulfillment, can be transformative. When we connect with our core values, we tap into a wellspring of motivation and direction that's far more powerful than mere self-discipline. It's also important to recognize that will is not something that develops in isolation. Our capacity for authentic choice and action is intimately connected to our relationships and to our place in the broader world. Cultivating compassion, empathy, and a sense of interconnectedness can actually strengthen our will by aligning our individual desires with the greater good. This brings us to another key point: the relationship between will and humility. Paradoxically, recognizing the limits of our control and the vast complexity of life can actually empower us. When we let go of the need to force outcomes and instead learn to flow with the currents of existence, we often find ourselves more capable of meaningful action. Think of it like surfing. A skilled surfer doesn't try to dominate the ocean, but rather develops the ability to read the waves and move in harmony with them. In the same way, cultivating will is about developing the sensitivity and skill to navigate the complex currents of life, rather than trying to impose our ego-driven desires into reality. This doesn't mean becoming passive or fatalistic. Rather, it's about developing a kind of active receptivity, being fully engaged with life while remaining open and responsive to what each moment brings us. It's the difference between clenching our fists to grasp at what we want and opening our hands to receive what life offers. Another important aspect of developing will is to learn to work within our emotions rather than being controlled by them. Many of us are at the mercy of our emotional states, reacting impulsively to whatever feeling that we're experiencing in the moment. True will involves developing the capacity to feel our emotions while not being completely identified with them. This emotional intelligence allows us to respond to situations with greater wisdom and clarity. Instead of being swept along by anger, by fear, or by desire, we can pause and acknowledge what we're feeling and choose our response. And this is the essence of freedom, not the absence of emotion, but the ability to act consciously in the presence of emotion. Cultivating will also involves developing our capacity for attention and presence. In our distraction-filled world, the ability to focus deeply and stay present with our experience is becoming increasingly rare. Yet it's essential for any kind of meaningful action or growth. By practicing mindfulness and developing our ability to stay focused on what's truly important, we strengthen our will. We become less reactive, less easily swayed by external pressures or internal habits. We develop the capacity to stay true to our chosen course, even in the face of challenges or discomfort. It's worth noting that developing will, in this deeper sense, is not a linear process. It's not about reaching some fixed endpoint of perfection or self-control or enlightened action. Rather, it's an ongoing journey of growth, self-discovery, and refinement. There will always be moments of struggle, times when we fall back onto old patterns or act in ways that don't align with our highest aspirations. The key is to approach this process with patience, self-compassion, and a spirit of curiosity. Each failure is an opportunity for learning and a growth, and a chance to understand ourselves more deeply and refine our approach. As we cultivate this deeper sense of will, we may find that our relationship with life itself begins to shift. Instead of seeing the world as a series of obstacles to be overcome or irritated with, or resources to be exploited or manipulated, we start to experience a profound sense of flow and connection. We become co-creators with life, dancing with the universe rather than trying to bend it to our will or the will of our patterns that we've been handed down through centuries or thousands of years. This shift in perspective can have profound implications as to how we approach challenges and pursue our goals. Instead of forcing our way through life, we learn to move with greater ease and grace. We develop a kind of effortless effort where our actions arise naturally from our deepest values and intentions. We're developing a new language and vocabulary to describe this behavior and to connect with each other in it. Ultimately, cultivating will in this deeper sense is about becoming more fully ourselves. It's a process of peeling away the layers of conditioning, of fear, and of false identity to reveal our authentic nature. As we align our thoughts, emotions, and actions with our true essence, we tap into a wellspring of creativity, resilience, and joy. This journey of self-discovery and alignment is not always easy. It requires courage. It requires persistence and a willingness to face our shadows and grow beyond our comfort zones. But the rewards are immeasurable. As we develop our will, we become more capable of creating meaningful change in our lives and in the world around us. We become less reactive, less driven by fear, and less driven by unconscious programming. We develop the capacity to stay true to our values and aspirations, even in the face of adversity. We become more present and more alive, more authentically ourselves, and perhaps more importantly, we discover that true power doesn't come from dominating or controlling life, but from aligning ourselves with the deeper currents of existence, of our existence. We learn to trust in something greater than our individual ego or group thought, while simultaneously taking full responsibility for our choices and actions. This is the paradox at the heart of will, that by surrendering our need for control, we actually become more powerful. By aligning ourselves with the flow of life, we become capable of achievements far beyond what our limited ego could imagine or accomplish. So as you continue on your own journey of growth and self-discovery, I encourage you to reflect on your own relationship with will. Are you trying to force your way through life? Or are you learning to dance with it? Are your actions arising from your deepest values and aspirations? Or are you simply reacting to external pressures and internal habits. Remember, developing will is not about becoming someone different or achieving some idealized state of perfection. It's about becoming more fully yourself, more aligned with your true nature and potential. It's about a lifelong journey of growth, discovery, and ever-deepening authenticity. As you navigate this path, be patient with yourself. Celebrate your progress, learn from your setbacks, and always keep your heart open to the mystery and wonder of existence. For it is this openness, this willingness to engage fully with life while remaining receptive to its guidance that true will and power emerge. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of will and human potential. I hope these reflections have sparked some new insights, some new perspectives for you. Remember that you have within you everything you need to create a life of meaning, purpose, and authentic power. Trust in that inner wisdom, cultivate your will with patience and compassion, and watch as your life unfolds in beautiful and unexpected ways. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.